My senior year of high school, my biggest dream was to play on the varsity basketball team. Like, that was my dream. I loved it. I loved the sweatshirts. I loved the shooting shirts, the shoes, the tearaway pants. I wanted to be a part of it so bad. Even if I sat the bench, I just wanted tearaway pants I could never tear away. I wanted it so bad. And my senior year, I definitely thought it could happen. I hadn't seen myself in the mirror. I was 5'9", 115 pounds of just raw Indian muscle, ladies, just raw. Dude, it's exactly the same. Ooh, holiday cinema. This is like the theater. The class president is texting you. It's like, this is just bizarre. This is bizarre. Like, I would have never been the guy talking to like the class president or whatever. It's just that's like the weird part. My memory of it was like, yeah, like you'd get punked or you'd get made fun of, and that's just something you kind of dealt with, and that just happened. You know what I mean? That's just a thing. I remember my favorite basketball player growing up was this guy named Penny Hardaway. He had the speed, he had the flash, he had the hops, and he had the dopest shoes. He had the Nike Air Pennies. And I was like, those shoes are gonna make me make the team. And so I went up to my mom, I'm like, Mom, can I get the pennies? And she's like, do they sell them at Ross? And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, we have a dress for less budget, so if they don't sell them at Ross, that's on you. And I ended up getting a job at the Office Max in South Davis. And the hardest part is you have to sell printers to people that don't know any better. So people would come in and they'd be like, I'm looking for a printer. I'm like, that's great. Well, the Epson 3640 is available right now for $129.99. They're like, that's very affordable. How much are ink cartridges? And I'm like, yeah, they're about $8,972 for the rest of the year. So I sold printers for a bit, and I eventually saved up the money to get the pennies. And I remember I took them home and I opened them up and I pulled them out, and you can just like smell the leather, and you're walking around in them like you're constipated, but you don't want to crease the shoes. So I was like walking like this. I was like, I'm gonna make the team in these shoes. This is where brown dreams go to die.
Why were there no brown kids who?
Because we're not athletic. I don't know a lot of super athletic Indian kids out of high school.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I appreciate your sentiment. It makes me feel very good. See how I hit the shot when there's no pressure on me? The first day of tryouts roll around my senior year. And as soon as I get to the court, I'm like, these are way too fresh to wear to tryouts. So I run back to my locker and I put my pennies away and I put on my old shoes. And I started my first day of tryouts, and Mr. G, the head basketball coach, he had this drill. It was called Fight Through the Pick. And basically, he would take the biggest dude, and you would have to just fight through him. You'd have to just get around him. And there was this kid named Tommy Wilson. That's not his name, I'm not petty, but his name was Tommy Wilson. And he was huge. Like, he had like traps like this, his like muscles connected to his ears to like here. And he'd blow the whistle, fight through the pick! And I would just run. My Indian arms would be flailing. And he's like, what are you doing, Hasan? Fight through the pick. Fight through the pick like you're trying to get into UC Berkeley. I'm like, I get that analogy. And I ran as hard as I could. And I hit Tommy, boom, like a force field. I bounced right off of him. And I hit the deck hard, right? But I gave it my all. I gave it my all. And I remember at the end of tryouts, that first day, I was drenched in sweat. Like, I looked like an immigrant family at Waterworld, just soaked, top to bottom, just like, effort, I did it. Now we're all waiting in the parking lot. We're waiting for our parents to pick us up. All the dudes are like huddled around, and then all of a sudden, Tommy Wilson sees me, and I'm wearing the pennies. And he goes, hey dude, where'd you get those pennies? And I was like, oh, Tommy Wilson's talking to me. And I was like, oh, I got them from Nike Outlet. They're on sale right now, Tommy. And he's like, nah, you got them from the urinal, dog. See, during tryouts, he went into the locker room and he pulled out my pennies and put them in the urinal, and he peed in them and put them back in. And I looked down at my shoes and I realized they weren't sopping wet from sweat. They were sopping wet from Tommy's pee. And then my dad's 91 Nissan Stanza pulled up to the front of the group, and I sloshed my way over into the car, and we just drove home in silence like we usually did. But this time it was because I had pee in my shoes. We get home, the garage door opens up, Dad goes into the house, I pull off my pennies, and I put them in the dumpster. And I never wore Air pennies ever again. And then it was the infamous day where they post the results of tryouts. And I made sure I got up early. I woke up at like 7:15, I got to class because he was gonna post the results. And I wanted to be alone, that way if anything happened, no one could see me. And around 7:20, the blinds just sort of shift to the side. And then those hands go up and they posted the results. And my name wasn't on the list. I walked home and I ran upstairs and I closed the door. It kind of set in at that moment that the dream was over. And yeah. How many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. You have 17 players? No, we had like 13 when I tried out. I definitely would have made this squad. This is whack. They have like 5 extra players. That day taught me something. Getting cut from the basketball team was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life because I learned that you can't fall off the floor. And even when you do fall on the floor, it's not even that bad. The bell rings, life moves on. I went to Chipotle the next day for lunch. Like, that was it. They're like, you want guac on your burrito? I'm like, I deserve some guac. Yes, I'm gonna have some guac. $1.95. I got that guac money right now. The following year, I went to college, and I thought to myself, I want to do something where I slowly lose my dignity night in and night out, just like basketball. So I decided to do stand-up comedy, and I did it every night, and I got my shoes peed in proverbially night in and night out. I was not very good, but I stuck with it. And October 9th, 2014, my life changed forever. I was the last correspondent hired by Jon Stewart to be on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I had been doing stand-up for 10 years, 1 month, and 9 days. I wasn't the funniest, I was not the brightest, I was not the tallest, I'm not the best looking. All those things I'm not. But I never stopped fighting through the pick. I do this for you guys. I do this for the 99%. For those of you guys that are going to Stanford and Harvard, enjoy investment banking, enjoy, ruining the economy. You're gonna have a good life. Private jets are great. Shout out to your health insurance. You're gonna have a great life. For the rest of us, I do this for you guys. I really do. Because your parents, teachers, and counselors are gonna tell you that it gets better. And I'm here to tell you, it always doesn't. It doesn't. The world does not care about your dreams. They do not care one bit. But I will say this, you gotta keep trying. It's worth it. And if you give yourself an opportunity to try and survive failure, you'll eventually find what you were meant to do. And I'm telling you this right now from my own personal experience. Never stop fighting through the pick. If you can't get in through the front door, go in through the side. If you can't get in through the side, go in through the backyard. If you can't go through the backyard, go in through the window. No matter what, never stop wearing your Air pennies. Never stop fighting through the pick. I promise you, you'll eventually find where you're supposed to be. Now, I know there's a lot of parents looking at me right now, like this dude is crazy. He's 29 years old, why is he pontificating about life? I 100% agree with you. Here's what I do definitively know. I do know that the Epson 3640 is available right now for $129.99 at Office Max. My name's Hasan Minhaj. Thank you guys so much. Good night.